What if everything you thought you knew about the ancient world was wrong? What if the marble statues and philosophical texts were only half the story? And what if, hiding beneath the waves for 2,000 years, there was a piece of technology so advanced it would take the rest of humanity another 1,500 years to even come close? This isn't science fiction. This is the real story of a discovery that rewrote history, a ghost from the deep that challenges our understanding of the past. Our story begins in the spring of 1900. A crew of Greek sponge divers, led by Captain Dimitrios Kontos, is forced by a violent storm to take shelter near the tiny, barren island of Antikythera. To pass the time, they decide to explore the unfamiliar waters. A diver named Valerios Stais, sealed in a heavy copper helmet, descends into the deep blue. He surfaces moments later, panicked, gasping about a terrifying sight on the seabed, a nightmarish heap of rotting corpses and horses. The captain, a seasoned man of the sea, suspects his diver is suffering from the rapture of the deep, nitrogen narcosis. He dons the helmet himself and descends to verify the claim. But what he finds isn't a massacre. It's something far more extraordinary. The rotting corpses are a breathtaking collection of bronze and marble statues, their forms twisted by the sea, casualties of an ancient shipwreck. For 2 millennia, a treasure trove had waited in the silent dark. For 10 grueling months, the divers, assisted by the Hellenic Navy, undertake the first major underwater excavation in history. They haul masterpieces from the depths, but the triumph comes at a terrible cost. The primitive diving technology is unforgiving. 1 diver dies from the bends. 2 more are left permanently paralyzed. The most sophisticated piece of technology from the ancient world was recovered by some of the most punishing and dangerous means of the modern one. Among the priceless statues, they recover an unremarkable lump of corroded bronze and wood, about the size of a large book. It's sent to the National Archaeological Museum in Athens, and for nearly 2 years, ignored in a storeroom. But as the lump dries, it begins to crack under the strain. On May 17, 1902, an archaeologist named Valerios Stais peers into one of the fissures. He sees something that shouldn't be there: the unmistakable triangular teeth of a gear wheel. Imagine the scene at the museum. Archaeologists are used to pottery, statues, and coins, but this was something else. As they carefully examined the object, it revealed a sight that was utterly baffling. Inside were layers of bronze, and within those layers, a complex system of gear wheels with tiny triangular teeth, some barely a millimeter long. It was like finding a Swiss watch in a medieval castle, an object that simply shouldn't exist. The initial reaction from the academic world was profound disbelief. The consensus was clear: precision gearing, tiny interlocking wheels working together to perform complex calculations, was a technology born in the great cathedral clocks of 14th century Europe. Yet here it was, pulled from a shipwreck that sank over 1,400 years earlier. This silent metallic ghost was a direct challenge to the entire narrative of technological progress. The craftsmanship was breathtaking. We're not talking about big, clunky cogs for grinding grain. We're talking about a system of at least 30, and likely many more, precision-engineered bronze gears, all designed to work together in a space no bigger than a shoebox. This single artifact represents a technological leap of a millennium and a half. It's like finding a blueprint for a smartphone in Leonardo da Vinci's notebook. But the real genius isn't just in the making of the gears, it's in the design. The most stunning example is how the mechanism accounts for the variable motion of the moon. The ancient Greeks knew the moon's apparent speed changes as it orbits the Earth. How could you possibly model that complex, non-uniform motion with simple circular gears that turn at a constant rate? The answer is a work of profound ingenuity. It's a brilliant piece of engineering known as a pin and slot mechanism. One gear had a pin that slid within a slot on another, causing the second gear to subtly speed up and slow down during its rotation, perfectly mimicking the moon's changing velocity in the sky. It is a direct, physical representation of the specific astronomical theory of Hipparchus, the greatest astronomer of antiquity. It is a philosophical statement cast in bronze. The universe is not chaos, but an ordered cosmos whose rules can be understood and even replicated. So what did this machine actually do? A single hand crank on the side set the whole clockwork cosmos in motion. The front face was a dynamic map of the heavens. Two large concentric dials marked the days of the year and the 12 zodiac constellations. Pointers tracked the positions of the sun and moon, while a small, rotating, half-black and half-silver sphere displayed the correct lunar phase. The latest research suggests an elegant and complex system of nested rings and gear trains that also displayed the movements of the 5 planets known to the ancients: Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. With a simple turn of a handle, an ancient user could see the layout of the entire known solar system for any date, past or future. It was a miniature cosmos in a box. But the back of the device is arguably even more impressive. Here, 2 large spiral dials served as the mechanism's predictive engine. The top spiral, the metonic dial, was a 235-month calendar used to align the lunar months with the solar year, crucial for managing calendars and religious festivals. The use of spirals was itself an innovation, allowing a vast amount of data to be displayed in a compact, legible space. The lower spiral is the Saros dial, and it's perhaps the machine's most awe-inspiring function. The Saros cycle is a period of roughly 18 years, after which the Sun, Moon, and Earth return to nearly the same alignment. It's the key to predicting eclipses. Inscribed on this dial were symbols indicating predicted solar and lunar eclipses, including their date and even the time of day. An ancient user could know decades in advance when the sun might go dark. And the genius didn't stop with the cosmos. Hidden inside the metonic dial was a smaller subsidiary dial that tracked the 4-year cycle of the great Panhellenic Games, including the Olympics. This machine wasn't just a scientific instrument locked away in a scholar's study. It connected the heavens to the most important events in Greek society. It was a master clock for civilization itself, ticking to the rhythm of the universe. So, if a machine of impossible complexity exists, the immediate burning question is, who? Who were the geniuses who conceived of and built such a device? The name of the creator is lost to the sea, but historical texts point us toward a specific intellectual lineage. The Roman orator Cicero, writing around the time the ship sank, described 2 similar machines built by the legendary inventor Archimedes of Syracuse more than a century earlier. Cicero marveled that with a single turn, the device could replicate the motions of the heavens. While Archimedes died long before the mechanism was built, Cicero's account proves that the concept of a geared mechanical cosmos was part of a known tradition of engineering, one associated with the greatest scientific mind of the age. The Antikythera device is likely a more sophisticated descendant of an Archimedean school of mechanical philosophy. The strongest clues, however, point to the island of Rhodes, a vibrant hub of astronomy and engineering in the 2nd century BCE. It was home to Hipparchus, the greatest astronomer of antiquity. The mechanism's brilliant pin and slot design for the moon's orbit is a direct mechanical representation of Hipparchus's own theory. It's a mechanical fingerprint. It seems almost certain the creator was from Rhodes, a student of Hipparchus, or at the very least, working directly from his advanced theories. This is perhaps the most unsettling mystery of all. If the ancient Greeks had this level of technology in the 2nd century BCE, why did it just vanish? Why did the world have to wait another 1,400 years for clockwork of similar complexity to reappear? The answer lies in the turbulent history of the era. The mechanism was forged in the twilight of the Hellenistic age, as the relentless military force of the Roman Republic expanded across the Mediterranean. It was a time of constant warfare, sacked cities, and immense political instability. The rise of Rome also brought a shift in cultural priorities. The Romans were brilliant practical engineers, building roads and aqueducts, but they often viewed the abstract, theoretical science of the Greeks as a luxury. Compounding this was the catastrophic loss of knowledge. The great library of Alexandria, the intellectual heart of the Hellenistic world, suffered a series of devastating blows over centuries. With libraries destroyed and the master-apprentice chains of knowledge broken by conflict, the highly specialized esoteric skills required to build such a device could be lost in a single generation. The Antikythera Mechanism is more than just an ancient artifact. It is a statement. It tells us that our ancestors were capable of a scientific and mechanical genius we had believed impossible. It forces us to toss out the simple, linear timelines of progress and accept that history is far more complex, with lost chapters and moments of brilliance that shone brightly before being extinguished. Its rediscovery rewrote the history of technology, but its enduring legacy is a profound sense of wonder. It reminds us that we are separated from the ancients by time, but not by intellect. And it leaves us with a humbling question. If something this extraordinary could be lost, what other wonders are still out there, waiting to rewrite history all over again? If you want to keep exploring the great enigmas of the past, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching.